Welcome to the 20th edition of the Singapore Straits Regatta. In Singapore, the fleet is based at 115-degree Marina, a modern, fully equipped marina on Sentosa Island, where preparations began for the 16 nautical mile passage to Batam Island in Indonesia. Nong Sa Point Marina is hosting the IRC-B and IRC-C classes, plus the One Design J24s over the next 3 days. The weather was tough, with strong winds, choppy waves and a strong current, but it all helped the boats reach their destination faster. The forecast for the first day of racing was for ideal conditions. The fleet was ready on the Nong Sa Point Marina for 3 windward-leeward races, and anticipation was intense amongst the crews, looking forward to some great sailing ahead.
I was here in the 90s, and it's just as nice as it was then, you know, and generally it's hard to keep things looking good in the tropics, and they've done a really nice job.
With races scheduled to start at 11 a.m. sharp, the crews checked over their sails and equipment for the strong weather conditions. Everyone was into it. The boats spread evenly across the first start line, and David Dimmock's Blue Note was quick off the line. 2 windward marks were set, a short course for the IRC and One Design classes, and 1 further out for the IRC-B class. The wind increased halfway up the beat, and the battles between the boats were close and exciting. Blue Note, the biggest boat of the fleet, was first around the windward mark, followed by Wreckering Dream, while on the shorter course, the J24 from SMU, Singapore Management University, was neck and neck with the Plateau 25. As the fleet hoisted their spinnakers, the wind picked up to 18 knots, and the big waves made conditions trickier for the crews, causing a few boat handling issues. By the time they reached the leeward mark, the wind was even stronger, with rain added to the mix. With 3 loops scheduled for each race, there was plenty of racing to come, and the crews gave their best as they headed for the second upwind. The strong conditions forced several boats to retire due to gear failure, but it also created great opportunities for others to make gains, like IRC Regatta, who had some close encounters during the second downwind with SF2. So the first race was over, and boats didn't have long to go before the second was underway. By the start, conditions were significantly lighter, and they stayed that way for the rest of the day. After an exciting day in Batam, Indonesia, on day 2 the action was back in Singapore and the classy 1° 15 marina for the SB20 One Designs. The race committee gave their final briefing to the sailing teams first thing in the morning, and as the sun was breaking through the clouds, all the teams focused on preparing for a tough day ahead.
It's interesting, we have lots of top-level guys sailing, world champions from Laser, Nick Burfoot from New Zealand, and right down to world champions in the Optimist.
3 races were scheduled for the SB20s, with the starting signal at midday. The weather promised exciting sailing with strong gusty winds and shifty conditions, making it a challenge for all the teams. All 3 races were completed with dramas throughout the fleet. The starts found most boats squeezing in at the committee boat end, all trying to keep to the right-hand side of the course, which had more wind pressure. Strong gusts, the high level of competition, and a fantastic view of the Singapore skyline added to the spectacle of racing here. The SB20 is a quick and challenging boat which needs good crew work for the manoeuvres, and a lot of teams wiped out in the tricky conditions. The crew who had least problems sailing in this weather was the Zenith sailing team. They scored 2 bullets and a second, putting them at the top of the leaderboard. The excellent team also had a great day, with a former UK SB20 champion and active member of the European circuit John Pollard at the helm. They scored a first, third and an 8th. The day was also good for the SSF team, scoring 2 thirds and a 16th, putting them in 7th overall. They have a top Asian crew, including Yuki Yokoyama, 2012 Optimist World Champion, and Bertha Hahn, 2013 Optimist Girls World Champion, plus Justin Liu on the helm, 2-time Asian Games gold medalist, and the 2010 420 World Champion. So, with 3 races completed, Zenith ruled the leaderboard with Excellent second and the Ideal Racing Team in third, with just 2 points between 4th, 5th and 6th place Glasgow Kiss, SSF and Poca Peña. On day 3 of the 20th Singapore Straits Regatta, the SB20 fleet got fully stuck into their racing. This event is also the Asia Pacific Championship for the SB20s, adding extra spice to the competition. After 3 exciting races during the second day, the 16 competitive teams looked forward to another strong day in even windier conditions. So preparation started early at 1 degree 15 Marina before the crews hit the water.
It was a nice day out yesterday. Looks like it's going to be a good breeze today. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I think it's going to be more wind than yesterday, so it's a bit spooky.
This boat is great for strong wind, especially downwind is very fast.
Definitely, after you do planing at 14 knots, there is no way back.
With the start scheduled for 11 AM, the fleet was out on the racecourse early, checking out the shifty conditions. Another 3 races were completed, with gusts reaching 18 knots, but the shifty winds made consistent performances hard, apart from the Singaporean young gun Zenith, skippered by Olympian Zhu Yuan Zhen, who scored 3 second places. John Pollard and his team on Excellent, although nailing 2 bullets, also scored a 9th, leaving them in second place overall. With the 2 leading teams of Zhen and Pollard pulling away at the top of the leaderboard, Nils Razmilovic on Glasgow Kiss finished in 3rd overall, with the young Singaporean SSF 6 team breathing down his neck. This crew, skippered by Justin Liu, had the moment of the day in race 2, battling with Zhen on Zenith. Both teams fought hard during the last downwind, going into a jibe competition, and although Zhen originally led, it was Liu and crew who managed to claw ahead to cross the finish line for well-deserved celebrations. All the teams sailed hard against high-level competitors in tough winds. The sailors all pushed their boats to the limits at fantastic speeds, and some broached in grand style. Well, if you're not wiping out every now and then, you're not trying hard enough. Meanwhile, the IRC fleet sailed back from Nongsa Point Marina to join the SB20s at 1 degree 15 Marina, since all classes will be racing off Singapore on the last day. All the medals would be decided during the final day, and the wind forecast was for gusts up to and over 20 knots, so the sailors made sure their boats and rigs were in good shape before going out. The SB20 class faced 3 races, while the IRC fleet had a windward leeward, plus a coastal race to contend with.
There's going to be 1 race in the morning and a passage race along the east coast side.
Today is 1 windward leeward and another passage race up the east coast. So we've got another day of good wind, so we're all looking forward to it.
Downwind is quite tricky, a very streaky breeze. And if you get on the wrong side of the gusts, then you can lose a lot of places.
I think the strategy will be to sail our own race for the first one at least and see how the results pan out.
You've got to be on your game and play the shifts.
Try to beat my friend there, Xu Feng Tu. That's our task for the day.
The SB20s managed to get all 3 races completed in superb conditions. The fleet chose the left-hand side of the course, close to the shoreline, hunting the shifts. On the start line, a bunch of boats squeezed into the pin end, with Zenith's sailing team and Excellent battling for top spot overall. Olympian Zhu Yuan Zhen and the crew of Zenith had a tough final day with their worst placing so far, but their consistency over the past few days was good enough to claim the championship. John Pollard and his team on Excellent were chasing Zenith's team to cover the difference in score. Although Excellent finished second on the first race, they were forced to take risks in the following races, which didn't quite pay off. The best performance of the day in the SB20s belonged to Poca Peña, skippered by Mike Buchanan. They scored an amazing 3 bullets, which bumped them up to 3rd overall. Although Razmilovic and his team on Glasgow Kiss were steady in performance, Poca Peña pushed them down to 4th overall. The IRC fleet started the day with a windward leeward, pushing all the teams in the windy conditions. Several boats had trouble bringing down their spinnakers in the strong gusts. The coastal race saw the fleet sailing along the spectacular Singapore coastline between an armada of anchored ships. Reaching the eastern side of Singapore, one class after the other rounded the mark, heading back to the finish line. Conditions improved enough for spinnakers to be hoisted, which whistled the fleet downwind, a perfect way to finish the week for them after 3 tiring days of racing in tough conditions over in Indonesia. Later in the evening, 1 Degree 15 Marina hosted the awards ceremony, where all the competitors enjoyed warm hospitality and a great party that followed. To confirm the top 3 results in each class, Zenith won the SB20s with Excellent 2nd and Poca Peña 3rd. In IRC Open, it was Blue Note 1st, then Recurring Dreams and Halley 1 3rd. Shun Fung 2, great name, won IRC-C with Wakatir 2nd and SMU Mad 3rd. And the top J24 was Yangon Main, then Kortedek, then Shengli. So windy conditions and tough racing for all to remember until next year's Singapore Straits Regatta. Thanks for watching.